Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for joining me for Try It Out Tuesday. So today I picked up this die set. It's from Elizabeth Crafty Designs and it's a little hot cocoa mug with some sweets you can add to your mug, steam swirls. But I don't know if it was the picture on the very front of this package that was just caught my eye, but that's the reason I picked it up. But I thought it'd be fun to make a hot cocoa mug on a card today. So we're going to do some die cutting. This is a 9-piece die set, and you get the mug, the whipped topping, marshmallows, some steam swirls. You get a snowflake, the hot cocoa drippings, and then 2 of the candy cane dies. One is a solid candy cane, and then the second one has stripes on it, so you could layer them together. So we're going to do some die cutting, starting off with some pink cardstock. This is Simon Says Stamp's pink cotton candy. I thought that would make a pretty pink mug. We'll die cut that out, and then for the cocoa part, we're going to die cut it out with some Neenah Desert Storm craft cardstock. I'm going to bring in some Simon Says Stamp ivory cardstock and die cut out some whipped cream. And then for most of the rest of the elements, we're going to use just regular white cardstock. The marshmallows, we have both the candy canes. I'm going to die cut out 2 on the white and then 2 on some red cardstock. That way I have 2 different kinds of candy canes and we can layer them together. And I'll also go ahead and do my snowflake. I'm not going to use the steam swirls. I'm going to use an embossing folder that has some swirls in the background. And here's my red cardstock. We're going to die cut out some candy canes with the red. Okay, I'm just bringing in my platinum stick and 6, and I sped this up really quick. Okay. And speaking of speeding up, I did leave the cleanup at the very end for my Try It Out Tuesday. But I think it's so fun watching somebody clean up, and I've got a lot of positive feedback. So at the very end, I left my cleanup in again. Okay, once everything's die cut, I'm going to create a panel using a double stitched rectangle die. And this panel size will be 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's going to leave me a little bit of a border on my card base today. So we have our panel for our background. We'll just take the tape off of all of our dies and see what we have here. There's our whip topping, and you know what, the whip topping does have embossed detail on there. So the little swirls, you can see it. And then for the candy canes, you can see I have 2 solid backgrounds and then I have 2 with the stripes. This way we could layer. We have our little dripping. It could be coffee, a fancy coffee. Some of my fancy coffees look like that, especially if they're homemade. But we're going to make hot chocolate today because I love the little marshmallows. And there's embossed detail on the marshmallows too. We'll add our second little candy cane, just punching out those little pieces. Today's card's pretty easy. I think this is very relaxing with the die cuts, so I thought it'd be fun to make a just because card. Okay, we're going to layer our candy canes together. Just using some glue, we'll add some small dots to the white striped and add that to the red solid. And I did pick up some new tweezers. I'm going to bring those in just a minute. I had found out that my daughter, my oldest daughter, had used my scissors to pluck her eyebrows, for heaven's sakes. And so they're probably in her room, Lord knows where. But I thought that was hilarious. She was using them to pluck her eyebrows. But so I picked these up, and these are not reverse tweezers. They're just regular, and they're from Sizzix, but I'm not sure how I like them yet. But if I like them, I'm going to use them a little bit more and I can recommend them, but it's too early for me to recommend them right now, but they're pretty, have a nice green handle. Okay, I'm bringing in some vintage photo distress ink. This is regular distress ink. This is, normally I have the little mini cubes, but this is the only one that I have that's the big one because I use it often to do a little bit of vintage shading on my elements, and that's what we're doing with all the elements today that we die cut it. Adding some brown to it, give it a vintage look. This one I'm going to go a little bit heavy because since it is hot cocoa, I wanted to add a little extra brown to it. And I'm just using my blending tool to add color. We'll do it to the marshmallows, the snowflake, and also to the whipped cream too. Okay, for my background, I'm going to bring in an embossing folder. This is from Sizzix, I believe. Now, I've had this forever, and I'm not sure if it's still available. If I can find one similar, or this one, I'll link it down below for you guys. But it has some pretty elegant swirls on here. In fact, I think that's the name of it, Elegant Swirl. But I'm going to adhere my background to an A2 size craft cardstock. It's the same Neenah Desert Storm that we used for our dripping hot cocoa there. I added my background, and now I'm just adding some foam squares behind all of my elements. We're going to pop everything up for a little dimension. Now, off camera, I did stamp my sentiment. I used a sentiment from an older stamp set from MFT. My sentiment says, "Warm wishes from me to you," and I heat embossed it with white embossing powder on the red cardstock. And then once I was done with that, I fishtailed the end, the right side, and I did add a little bit of vintage photo to that as well. I'm just arranging my little marshmallows. So fun. And then we're going to do a little tucking with our candy canes. And I'll just remove the release paper off of my sentiment and add that to the bottom of our mug. And I have that straight edge to the left of my sentiment, so that's where we're going to add the snowflake. I'm just going to use a little bit of glue to adhere that. And then once we're happy with that, I'm going to adjust it just a little bit. And then I have my sentiments overlapping a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm going to add an extra piece of foam adhesive just so it lays nice and flush. For the center of my snowflake, I'm going to add a little bow using some Fun Stampers Journey natural twine. This is really nice twine, guys, because it's super thin, and it's very natural too. I like it. It goes perfect with craft, I think. I just tied a small bow, and I'm going to adhere it to my snowflake using my glue, which is almost out. And then I think that looks so fun. Okay, I'm going to add some white highlights using my white gel pen. Normally I like to do this if there's a predominantly white background. I think it just makes our image pop and kind of make it a little more cohesive. We'll add a few little highlights to the brown area of our hot cocoa. And then I'm going to add some sparkle using my Nouveau glitter drops and White Blizzard. Wow, I almost went blank. But I'm adding it to the candy canes and to the marshmallows and the snowflake. And that is my project for today, guys. I left the cleanup again after the close-up pictures if you want to check it out. I've had so much positive feedback with the cleanup, and it's super fun to do, and it keeps my craft desk nice and tidy. So hope you enjoyed my project today. Have a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you again soon, guys. Bye-bye.